Welcome, Spartans, to Podcast Evolved, part of Evolved, your home for Halo. Podcast Evolved hosts original lore series and recaps the monthly Halo news. Our current lore series is Halo Impressions, and I am your host, Oran. With me today, we have David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krysta Brown.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, you two. Episode 271. Today, on this episode of Infinite Impressions, we will discuss the characters of Halo Infinite. But before we get started, we have some housekeeping. If you're new to the show, welcome. Evolved is a host to a variety of shows. This is Podcast Evolved. You can check out our previous lore series, The Road to Infinite, and our character dossiers. Evolved also hosts the shows Mission Debrief, Builds with Blocks, Halo Book Club, and Halo Headlines. Our Evolved partners are Josh and Will over at HCS Pro Talk, where they discuss the latest information within the competitive Halo scene, with an emphasis on community every weekend. You can learn more about each of our shows on Evolved's website, halopodcast.com. And if you're already a fan of the show, we ask that you rate us and leave us a review. We greatly appreciate all the feedback we receive from our listeners to improve the quality of all of our shows. We would like to take a special moment to thank our patrons for their continued support. Thank you guys so much. Huge shout out. Our patrons receive a variety of exclusive rewards, such as early episodes, unique swag, and access to all of our access to our own soundtrack album that features 18 unique songs. Head over to patreon.com/HaloPodcastEvolved to learn more. And finally, we encourage our listeners to support Audible, where they can enjoy the growing collection of Halo novels all in one place, along with thousands of other novels, guidance wellness programs, and more. You could use the URL audibletrial.com/podcastevolved to learn more and start your free trial today. Now, last week on Zeta Halo, did you, Krysta Brown, play Halo Infinite and explore Zeta Halo since we last met?
Next question.
All right, David, what about you?
I have only done a few bits and pieces for Mission Debrief, so I'm currently on, I guess, technically it's my 4th playthrough of the campaign.
Wow.
It might not seem like a lot, but is a lot for Halo Infinite.
No, it really is.
I've been playing through the game on normal with the bandana skull on and a few other fun skulls, and it's really cool. The bandana, the bandana skull totally breaks the game, because it's it also gets rid of any cooldowns for your equipment. So it's infinite tracker, it's infinite
grapple and drop shield and all that. And you don't need to reload or anything too. It's just...
You do reload.
Oh, you still reload? Oh, okay.
Yeah. You don't have an infinite magazine. You just have...
But you can spam grenades too.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's it's pretty fun.
So this normal bandana skull playthrough is your Mission Debrief playthrough?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And you're still working away Legendary?
I am stuck on Jaga. I haven't played it in ages, because I just was bashing my head against the wall, and I was like, I can't do this, so I kind of stopped, and I haven't gone back to him since. It's still on my to-do list. I'm so close to the end, and I just need to beat this stupid guy with a stupid sword and a stupid stealth camo.
Have you tried asking him to stop? Really nicely?
He's not listening.
Is that what you managed to do, Krysta?
Yeah, I just said, please don't kill me, and then I won. It was great.
And then you just, back-whacked him?
No, we're friends, We went out for coffee.
Nice. Oh, that is very lovely.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Well, I actually just beat my first Legendary playthrough of the campaign. I forget when I beat Jaga, probably within the last week, because I kind of did all of those fights separate days. I think one day was Jaga, another day was Eshram, and the other day was the Harbinger. By the way, I said this on our last show, but going forward, we're spoiling Halo Infinite. So spoilers if you haven't played the game. But I meant to lead this show, but I did say it in our last Infinite Impressions that all Infinite Impressions going forward will assume you've played the launch game, because DLC we feel is on the horizon. But anyway, so yeah, I managed to finally beat all 3 of them. What did I do for Jaga? Jaga was interesting, and it really challenged my ability to swap equipment quickly, which came in handy for the Eshram fight, to where I was constantly changing between grapple shot and drop shield, and then even the thrusters at times. But I think what I did is I had the pulse rifle, and I used the pulse rifle pretty much exclusively until his shields were down, and then I swapped to the battle rifle since his shields were popped. And then I quickly you can't really grapple in there, so I quickly was switching between the threat sensor and the thrust. That's kind of how I got through Jaga, if that's helpful for you, David.
Yes, it probably is. I also have bad weapons, so I think I got to go back. I think I'm just gonna have to restart the mission, I think, and go through that whole sequence again.
I very much liked this level as a whole on Legendary is fun to kind of just, the whole kind of firefight vibe.
Yeah, I do like this mission anyway, and I think Legendary as a whole on this is like one of the best Legendaries in Halo. I think it's really satisfying. It works really well with the open world and the weapons and the availability of vehicles and the Marines, and it works well. There's just a couple of boss fights where I just think it just ramps up real high. It can be tough in close quarters, and if you don't have the right weapons, you're screwed. Some of the boss battles do have weapons scattered around, but I just need something more. I need something for his shields, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. So you can like kind of stutter him a little bit too. Krysta, do you want to say anything, or should we just move on? Give it to you one more time. Give you a softball pitch.
I like his little like mandibles. They're very cute, and they move around and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Oh, Jaga?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I didn't actually play any Halo this week.
Well, I know you're playing a lot with Mission Debrief. I've been enjoying listening to the show. I appreciate the call out, you guys. You guys actually mentioned me on the show. I was very, very flattered, very moved.
You're welcome, Oran.
Was it actually nice things?
It really wasn't.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
It was really funny because like you guys were talking about the audio logs, and David said something to the effect of like, yeah, I like listen to them while playing, unlike Oran, who would like walk past them. And I like straight up would. Like I would look at like my first playthrough, I would look at an audio log and I intentionally did not collect it because I just didn't want to. And I will defend that because Master Chief doesn't have time to listen. He has to stop the banished.
Excuse me, in Halo 1?
Did I say Halo 1?
No, but Master Chief does have time to do that from his previous endeavors, like in watching entire cutscenes or reading entire logs in Halo 3.
Well, he had time for that, but I felt that he didn't have time.
Yet you still had time to run around and like kill all of the high-value targets and stuff like that?
No, I didn't do that either.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not sure what you're trying to get at, because you're just obviously not playing the game right.
Well, it's funny, for my like mission complete or my campaign completion for Heroic, my first playthrough, it's at like 22%. But then on Legendary, when I actually did all the other stuff, it's sitting at like 60 something. So I think I'm just going to make the Legendary playthrough my 100% one. But I'll have to go back, I guess, to get the stuff that I missed on the levels you can't replay. But at least for the open world stuff, I finally have the Wasp now, so I can fly around everywhere.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's the way to be.
All right, let's move on to this week's Infinite Impressions. Before we tackle it, though, last time we talked about Season 1 mid-review of the kind of Battle Pass, and the Infinite has their ongoing live service game. So Season 1 is twice the length for 6 months from November to the very beginning of May. So we did kind of a mid-review, since we didn't really do a pre-review on the Impressions series. So we talked about just the Battle Pass as a whole, what we liked, what we didn't like, what the kind of launch features were, what are launch playlists, how it has changed over the last 3 or so months, how the progression has changed, how the events have sort of rolled out and offered rewards, stuff like that, and then our overall impressions over the entirety of Season 1 so far. So we'll probably do another one towards the end of Season 1 to kind of do like a little review. But if you haven't checked that out, it's in the feed, so you can go and take a listen. This week, we're talking about the characters of Halo Infinite. So we have about maybe a dozen characters. Hard to believe there's that many characters in this game when it's just really the three of you. But we'll talk about what we think of their story arcs, how they were kind of portrayed in the game, art styles. Some characters are returning, some characters are new. So we'll just kind of have like an open discussion about it. So I will throw it to David to take us away for the Master Chief.
No problem, the big guy in green. So the Master Chief, introduced in Halo Combat Evolved, no surprise. Last saw him, Halo's Shadow of Reach was a novel with Troy Denning, and it was really fucking cool. And it has a lot of lore implications to this game, which is pretty cool. Well, as opposed to the stuff that happened right before this game. But it's cool. His race is human, like we know, UNSC Spartan. This is his faction, his fax, born March 7th, 2511, 49 years old during the campaign. Pretty spry, doing pretty well for 49. Homeworld is Iranidus II.
What are your overall opinions on kind of how we see Chief at the very beginning compared to where we saw him in Shadows of Reach or even in Halo 5? And then we can just kind of have an open conversation about his journey throughout the campaign. So how do you want to begin this, David?
Well, where he starts off is really interesting. I've said it before, I'm not a huge fan of how this game intros and where it kind of leaves you. I really wish there was a lot more before the game starts that you knew about. Because John knows a lot more than the player does. I'm not sure I like that much for this game. Like, I would have liked to have known a lot more of where he was going in. Because it's a pretty high stakes mission. It's pretty significant. And like, it begins pretty much with like, okay, it's wrapping up the Cortana arc. His mission is to go and pretty much capture Cortana and bring her back. And he kind of starts, he's very different. You can see the way he deals with the dead Marines in space and stuff like that during the intro, and how he deals with the other Spartans is unlike anything we've seen him in any other games. He's very slow, methodical, thoughtful, very gives great reverence and towards the dead and stuff, which is pretty cool. And I like that his emotions seem heavy and full of like kind of guilt and doubt and stuff. And I really like that. And he's super cautious with the weapon when he's getting her to do things. And like that one scene where he pretty much is like going to kill the weapon, I was like, that had me going like, holy fucking shit, this is crazy. I didn't think John would do that. He's obviously changed a lot and learned a lot since the last time. Dealing with an AI, he does not trust the weapon at all. And it's really cool. He's really well done, really well portrayed. But I really wish a lot of the other dialogues and stuff were not in audio logs, and even in the descriptions of the audio logs, there's some pretty key information in there. And I don't know, it's something that's kind of missed. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'd kind of say he does start off kind of familiar in the sense that he's a little bit more reserved. He is kind of withholding that information that you put, and then I think as the campaign continues, I think he opens up a lot more that we really haven't seen him in a game. Maybe with Halo 4 being kind of the closest that we've seen since, but we definitely get a sense of kind of the guilt that he's carrying with like Cortana and him trying to deal with the pilot and kind of the struggles that he's going through, and kind of the three of them trying to understand what's going on while also trying to remain hopeful during the Banish invasion here at the on the ring there, all the way up to the end where like he seems very dedicated to the pilot and the weapon to stay with them and finish out the mission and to save the pilot at all costs when he gets captured. And then then he kind of gets right back to where we all started at the very end, when he's like, all right, time for the next mission, like we have to just keep on going. So I very much liked the character moments in those cinematic scenes that we got throughout the campaign that really I feel like we got to see for the first time, or at least in more detail, since like something like Halo 4 is maybe one of the last time we really saw him open up, because I still feel like he was a very reserved character in Halo 5. So I very much liked how much he kind of opened up and the kind of like I said, the character moments. Krysta, do you want to add anything about Chief's journey during the game?
Sure. Just kind of, again, I think Chief's biggest like you guys have said, Chief's biggest thing in this game is definitely him opening up and becoming a little more emotive, I suppose. And I think that is due to the characters that he surrounds himself in this game. You know, Chief will always be Chief, but when you put Chief with different people, it kind of brings something different out of him. And I think the supporting characters in this game are what really make him shine. He's able to, you know, show us a little bit of a different side of him because he's dealing with people that are more emotive, you know, have all these feelings, you know, aren't as, you know, uptight and militaristic as he is, and he has to kind of adjust himself to be at their level so that they can move forward, and I really like that.
Yeah, no, well said. I think this is one of my favorite, like, Chief moments, in terms of just, like, getting him as a character, you know, on that kind of personal level, because we've seen him do, you know, all the amazing feats that he's done throughout the games and even the novels, and but this was, I think this was pretty well written, I think, for Chief's character, kind of working through everything that's going on. All right, let's move on to the weapon. Krysta, do you want to introduce the weapon to us?
Yeah, Blue Lady version 2.
Yeah, the good old upgrade, software upgrade.
Yeah, so she was introduced in this game. She is an AI. She was commissioned December 11th, 2559. Her service number is CTN0453-0. Her original purpose was to you know, act as Cortana and lock her down for retrieval and then delete herself and die.
A simple purpose.
Yeah, I absolutely love her. I think she's a great character. You know, I think we were all very hesitant when the idea of having another Cortana kind of presented itself in Halo 4. But I think they did a really good job creating a character that's very different from Cortana, but also very familiar to us. She's absolutely adorable. She's super quirky and cute. She says some things where you just kind of pause and you're like, oh my god, that's really funny. And I think she definitely, like I said, she brings out a different side of Chief because he's having to deal with, she's almost a teenager in a lot of regards, just very naive to the world, still figuring things out, but still wanting independence and to be considered an ally. And I really like that about her. So I think she's absolutely great. I am so excited to see how she is moving forward, but I hope she kind of keeps the exact same tones as she did. I feel like Cortana was much more mature as a character, more of like a, you know, confident woman, you know, kind of has everything all together. I like how she's a little bit more like emotional. She's kind of funny and quirky. And she has it together, but at the same time, she's still kind of like, you know, I'm still kind of figuring stuff out. So I like her a lot. She's my favorite.
Yeah, it's kind of like she still has like some sort of like training wheels on in some degree, to where like she didn't even know who the Banished were, but she's been stuck on this ring for so long, and just some other things that kind of make her a little bit more naive, in kind of our human way of characterizing, but she's still able to, like, she's still focused on what she needs to do, and when Chief has her doing these tasks, she's learning, she's taking everything in, but still kind of executing and doing those types of things. I think a big moment for her, what David kind of alluded to earlier, is when Chief, like, you know, felt that there was a threat and didn't want kind of a repeat of Cortana, and like, you know, attempted to delete her in the middle of the campaign. And like she takes it like very personally, and her tone and everything like definitely like changes in that moment, and like really tries to stick it to Chief just because he's not trusting her, and like they need to have this bond and this trust in order to do the things that they need to do, and so that I thought was a very powerful moment David, I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit more, just the weapon in general.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Everything Krysta says is spot on. Like, she's so quirky, she's so great. They really did execute this copy of Cortana idea really well. And then, like, I wasn't expecting the reveal moment for her to have a reveal moment where she didn't know she was a copy of Cortana. Like, how she was created wise and stuff like that, and her memories, like, and how that all went down was so emotional, so well done. I loved it. And, you know, John coming to trust her and believe in her was so good. And then, like, her interactions with the pilot are fantastic. It's really well done. She's just an all-round super character. I'm glad she's in it. She's executed so well. I'm not 100% at the end when you have to choose the name moment. I knew that was coming in the game, that she was going to not end up being called the weapon, but, like, the fact that she names herself Cortana is a bit meh. I wish it was something different.
Is that what we think is that what we think she's doing?
I mean, she didn't actually say it.
No, but, like, she looks to John for permission, and, like, the only thing you would do that for is to use the name Cortana again, like.
I think it's a weird thing for her character because she's trying so much to be independent. I think to be another character isn't a good thing for her storyline because she's not Cortana, you know? She may have come from Cortana and she may have been influenced from Cortana, but she's not, you know, she's different.
Yeah, no, I agree. I guess still have some doubt just because I just don't want to believe that she wants to name her name Cortana, but that is the first sort of name that I jumped to based off of that final scene. But yeah, I would be very happy and prefer if it was just almost literally any other name. Just because, yeah, like you said, Krysta, like she is not Cortana, and like her differences not only make that, but they kind of define who she is as a character, and kind of learning these different things. And we can very much see this relationship just building and blossoming as the future of Halo Infinite goes on. This very foundation that they had in this game, I felt was just great, kind of laying it all out. And yeah, I did have my own reservations, like at the very beginning of the game, because I kind of knew where the weapon came from. But as the game kind of continued on, I grew to really enjoy her. And then especially when she started really getting into the Forerunner technology and stopping the Banish, and then when we learned about the pilot and all that kind of stuff, then those moments really shined to making her a pretty likable character. Speaking of the pilot, I'll introduce him. He's referred to as the pilot or Echo 216 throughout the whole game, but at the end of the game, when we learned of everybody's names, we learned that his name is Fernando Esparza. He was introduced in Halo Infinite, and he is a human, part of the UNSC. He is voiced and performed and captured by Nicholas Roya, and the character was named by Roya himself after his two best friends from childhood. That's kind of all we have right now. But yeah, I do remember back during the kind of marketing cycle of it, there, the actor, and I think even some of the 343 employees said that, like, no, we're not revealing his name just yet. But I do remember them saying that, like, it was something important to the voice actor. So yeah, two of his best friends. So that's very, very sweet. But the pilot is an interesting character, but I think at the end of the day, he's a good character because throughout the first half of the campaign, I don't know, for me personally, we'll see what you guys think, but like I found him to be quite annoying, because he's constantly just like basically bitching at you, and I get that he's been alone for so long, he's definitely a coward, and he finally sees Chief, like the literal symbol of hope for humanity. And the first thing Chief wants to go do is go back to the ring and like fight the Banish head on by himself. And the pilot obviously doesn't want to do that. He wants to go home, and he has these insecurities to kind of figure out. But then we get, I think, that great moment right in the middle of the campaign where you learn that he is really not a pilot. He's not part of the military. He's just an engineering hand on the Infinity that stole a Pelican because he was afraid during the battle and was just drifting in space, and then the chief just stumbled upon him.
That background story is so cool. Like, that's a cool setup of a character.
That was that's probably like one of the best, I think, scenes and moments in the game, because it's just so character driven, and like the chief like sits down next to him and like gets on his level and like talks about his own like ways that he has failed, and then you get this great moment that the two of them share to kind of help uplift them to then get back into the fight. But from then on, like in like even replaying the game, having that context of like who he is, like, yeah, like I don't see someone who's like being annoying. Like I see someone who is just like scared shitless in this, you know, intergalactic fight that's going on. Yeah, I think the pilot is great. Like, you know, I smiled at the end of the campaign when like they do the whole time thing and he finally sees Chief and he hops back in the Pelican and he like gives him a big old hug at his mid-side because Chief's so tall. But like, you know, his biggest grin on his face, like, so happy you're back. Like, where are we going next? Like, very much like, you know, part of the team. And yeah, like I think his kind of arc, I think, might be my favorite throughout the whole thing, because like I personally just had such a different perception of him in the beginning versus the end. And I think, you know, that's due to kind of how he was written and stuff.
His name will always be Brohammer to me. I do not accept calling him anything else.
I like Echo 216 because 216 was the name of my dorm room in college. And so I actually had the nickname 216 a little bit here and there, so I kind of got a chuckle out of that. So I kind of like the coincidence there, but continue.
I think it's kind of funny how big of a reveal it was for his name. Because we were all wondering, we're like, when are they gonna say his name in the marketing or something like that? And they wait till like the very last moment, and Chief's like, oh wait, what's your name?
Yeah, the weapon's like, wait a minute, we don't know your name. And like when she said that, I was like, oh yeah, like we don't know his name. Like I completely just like, I wasn't really even like thinking about it. Because you know, you call it by your call sign and all that sometimes. I
think he's pretty hilarious because he's just like through the first half of the campaign, he's just like, I want to go home. I just want to go home. Why is this guy making me do stuff? I found it pretty hilarious. He does definitely come into his own as the campaign goes on and becomes a really good companion to Chief. A very, very Echo 419, but doesn't get shot down by banshees and explodes, which is pretty great. We like that.
But he does get shot down.
He does, yeah. There's a whole mission that centers around it, but he doesn't die, and that's the important part. It just goes into the E3 demo. They get shot down right into the E3 demo. But no, I think he's a great character. I think he's funny. I think he adds a bit of lightheartedness, but also humanity, because he actually reacts to what's going on in a very realistic way.
That's true, yeah. He's good for that.
The Weapon in Chief don't really do that because they're not regular people. Because he's a civilian. He is the most civilian of civilians. So his thoughts and his feelings and his reactions are very human, and it's very nice to have that character in Halo to be like, what the fuck is going on? This makes no sense. And then
yeah, or like why are you doing that? Like like, whereas for years we've just accepted that we need to just stop whatever threat it is, and that's just how Chief is just programmed. So yeah, that sort of element definitely creates like a really good contrast.
Yeah, it's nice to finally have someone reacting to stuff in a normal way, you know, with giant alien artifacts and stuff like that. Chief's very nonchalant about them at this point. So yeah, I like him a lot. I can't wait to see more of him. It's kind of fun that how they're like a little team now. They're like a gang. They kind of stick together. I like it a lot. It'll be interesting to see if Blue Team ever comes into the picture and how that happens. I think Brohammer will have a heart attack and be like, oh shit, now there's 3 more of them.
He's all gung-ho now. He's all about the team at the end of the game.
I know, but I still think he's going to be like, shit, now I have to try to control 4 at a time. Make them do realistic things and not be crazy superhuman people. So, I like him a lot. I can't wait to see more of him moving forward.
David, any other thoughts?
Not really. Same as you. Really annoying at the start of the game. I wasn't very impressed with him at all. I was like, oh my god, stop complaining to me. Like, I think they should have toned it down a little bit.
Okay, but I would have been doing the exact same thing. Like, I feel his pain. Like, I just don't want to be here anymore.
I do what you mean, because it's like, there's a point where it's like, well, I'm the player. Like, I want to obviously keep playing and like do all these things, and like, you need to just calm down. So I do get that it, you know, maybe there might be an argument there that 343 went a little overboard, but still, like, I think it, like Krysta said, there is some realness to it.
The dude was starving on a ship for 6 months. Like, it's pretty realistic for him to be like, I don't want to be here, I want to go home, why are we doing this?
I love that, and I love having to put that against Chief, and then it really sets up Chief as looking like you're the bad guy. And I kind of like that, you know, like, Chief just wants to keep going, just for the sake of keep going. I like where he's just like, why, fuck this, like, let's get the hell out of here, and Chief is just like, no. I do like their dynamic, and they work really well together. It does... I think like his turnaround happens a little bit too fast, and I wish, like, and I think I said this before in the game, I wish the mission of Pelican Down and all that reveal happened a bit earlier in the game, just so that we didn't have as much of whiny Pilot, and then we got a bit more of the Pilot coming around and his kind of better interactions with the weapon. But no, I'm glad he's there. He's really well done. Well voice acted, like super emotional. I loved seeing that against like Chief. It was really cool. Just the contrast between the two.
All right, next we have Cortana, who we've already mentioned a few times already. Krysta, you want to take us through Cortana?
The second blue lady, but they made her purple so that people didn't get confused. Alright, so Cortana was introduced in Halo Combat Evolved. We last saw her in Halo 5 Guardians, where she was just being an overall really great person. Her race and faction is AI/created. She was commissioned November 7th, 2549. She's an old girl. She was decommissioned December 13th, 2559. She was 10 years old. That's ancient for an AI.
Yeah, it really is.
And her service number was CTN 0452-9. So, Cortana's the big bad, right? Or seemingly the big bad until Atriox shoves Chief out of an airlock and makes a funny speech and then's like, okay, bye, bitch.
Chief drop.
He drops the mic. Mic drop. But yeah, of course, I like Cortana's story in this. It's interesting that we never actually directly interact with Cortana at all, for obvious reasons. I like it how we're kind of just figuring out exactly how everything goes down and why she's not around anymore. I think it's funny that pretty much we're cleaning up after her mess. With all of this and the Banished and stuff like that, because she was like, hey, Atriox, you should join me, and he's like, fuck no, and she's like, alright, well, I'm gonna blow up your entire planet, that'll show you, and Atriox like, oh okay. And then he wants to kill everyone in
Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer, yeah. So, I mean, I found that to be very interesting. I do like how she still pulls the strings even after her departure. She sets it up in a way that will reveal what's going on and kind of empower them to defeat Escharum and, you know, kind of figure out what Atriox's goal on this ring was with the Endless and the Squid Lady and all that kind of fun stuff in the Silexes. Of course, we do know that Atriox has not kicked the bucket like we think, so he's still running around somewhere doing something, still being a cool guy, but still, like, super evil. But, I like her a lot. I like the emotional impact we have with Cortana with all of the flashbacks and stuff. I like how they actually explained the data stuff, the data that's just cycling until it runs out of power. It also explains stuff in, like, Halo 3. It explains stuff in Halo 4. Like, all of those little flashbacks with Cortana was just bits of her data just cycling until it runs out of power. So I thought that was really cool. So it was nice that they brought that back, but didn't pause the entire game to show Cortana crying or something like that.
Yeah, they executed it much better this time around.
They did. It was really emotional, though. It was really emotional. I think it was a better send-off than Halo 4, and I think it didn't completely redeem her character, but it did in some ways. I think it was a good send-off for her. And hopefully it's the actual send-off, because them continuing to bring back Cortana's getting a little old.
They won't. Now that they've replaced her, I don't think they will.
Yeah. I thought it was a good closure for her character.
I would agree that I think the way it was done in this game, it didn't quite fulfill. I forget how you worded it just now, but like you said that it didn't quite give her closure, but it kind of did, and I'm willing to accept it. Yeah, her redemption. Yeah, like I kind of get it, but I think as a whole, I do like what they did, just like functionally and like gameplay wise and like visualizing and all that. But I kind of wish, and this kind of goes back to what David was saying, where like I wish we just knew more of all of this before the campaign actually like began, to where like we're actually like there and we see some of this happen, and maybe we actually see Cortana's like change of heart and all that kind of stuff, instead of just the Dust and Echoes data and all that kind of thing. So like I think like the information that they gave to us, I thought was presented well enough, and I do really like her new character model and being like purple and stuff. Like I think I really prefer like that model over like the Halo 5 like, you know, Forerunner armor that she was wearing. But yeah, I just kind of wish that we as the player were able to see more of her, I guess, in real time, kind of before the events of the game, because I feel like we kind of got too many cinematics that were just telling us what we don't know, whereas it would have been nice to actually like witness some of that, and maybe we can get told some of those things elsewhere.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, maybe a smoother write-off of the created, because they're just not in this game.
Yeah, like that too. Like I would have been totally happy like fighting some areas on the ring with like created / Prometheans if it meant that like we eradicated all of them and then now it's only the Banish. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's something that, you know, for whatever reason isn't in the game. It might just be because they'd have to create a whole new AI set just for that portion, but yeah, just the overall created threat, I felt it kind of just dissolved off screen. And then we kind of got it explained to us on why it's no longer there, which I kind of only appreciate so much. I would have appreciated it to happen a little bit more in the forefront. But as a whole, though, I do like I said, Cortana's character model, and like you said, I like how they've explained the Dust and Echoes and stuff. So there are some good things that they added in there. I just think that they could have, I don't know, I feel like 343 could have done a better job as a whole with like dealing with Cortana and explaining some things. Is there anything else you wanted to add, David, before we move on?
No, it was a good end. I thought that cutscene was really fucking emotional. They did a good job of kind of wrapping her up. I'm glad that she's not like still viewed as a good guy. Do you know what I mean? Because she did some pretty horrible stuff, and the flashbacks did a great job of setting, you know, teaching that to the weapon, which was really cool, which also helped with the importance of the reveal of her creation and why that's significant to her, and how she doesn't want to be Cortana, but can't understand why Cortana did what she did. So I like that. I like that Cortana doesn't just flip and become a good guy again. So anyway, that's it. It was good. It was well done.
Very, very nice. Do you want us to let's take a look at Eshram?
Yeah, Eshram.
He needs an inhaler.
He does need an inhaler. He was introduced to us in the Shadows of Reach book. He kind of stepped off. Was he actually in that?
He was maybe not like in it, but I know there was at least conversations with him. No, with Castor.
I think he was at least referenced. I don't remember exactly.
He was at least referenced, but I thought they had like a communication like type of like, you know, Star Wars Skype call type of a thing. Like,
Fair
I don't
enough.
know.
Possibly.
He was all right. He'll say he was first introduced in Halo Infinite, but was teased in Shadows of Reach.
He is a brute. He is part of the Banished. He is born on the 2774 estimated. So he's an old dude as well. He's well on. He died on May 28, 2560. He was 86 years old, thereabouts.
He did need an inhaler. Jeez, he needed an oxygen tank.
This game did a good job, we'll talk about it in a minute, of a good job of portraying him as an old leader, like, just being, like, set up that he has to, like, look for a big way out. Anyway, like, his homeworld is Dosak. His arc, there's not much to it, but, like, you get the impression that at the beginning of the game, he's barely holding his forces together. Aatrox is gone. He's trying to maintain his control of the Banished, take over the rest of the ring, stab out the rest of the humans. And it's more significant than we realize because we don't know at the beginning of the game, like, their real motivation. But it is because Cortana destroyed their homeworld. That's why they came here. So they're almost setting up a new homeworld on the ring, which is really interesting because they're also stuck here. So they're trying to do their best. He's really struggling. He doesn't have a whole lot of, like, life left in him. He's not well. And then the chief shows up and he uses the word invigorated. Like, he sees his end as he's always talking about a legend in his story. And he's like, excellent. Now I have a worthy foe to pit myself against at the end of my life, because he obviously doesn't want to die from old age. And then there's obviously, you get the impression that, like, brutes obviously will take out their own leaders to rise up the ranks. So, like, he obviously would rather go via chief. And he has, like, an emotional ending, which is kind of a little bit unexpected. Like, Chief's respect for him, I didn't expect, given the fact that, like, the Banished have done some pretty horrible things to the humans on the ring in various installations throughout. But I liked him.
What does Chief say to...
He said he was a soldier trying his best. I believe. Something to that. And I think it's true. I mean...
No, it's a great moment because, yeah, the weapons, like, you know, you showed him respect, and then Chief's like, well, he was just a soldier of his own, you know, of his own faction.
I think there is, throughout the game, I think there is mutual respect that is shown between them because they both are warriors. They both are, I mean, of course, Eshrum's a little bit more fighty than Chief is, but I still think that there is a modicum of respect between them, between two warriors, basically, two men who have fought and killed and tried to do their best for their race, you know?
Definitely. I was going to say, I thought he was a great sort of, like, antagonist that's kind of just looming over the battlefield, watching us go through it all. But I do like the kind of perspective that you were bringing in, David, that he's dying and he's definitely using the, like, his revigoration to just kind of go out with a bang. And, like, we definitely, this is my end. I see it. And obviously he wants to be victorious to end Chief as his, like, final act. But, like, I think that kind of facade was like a nice, like a great motivation to kind of keep you playing and kind of having that antagonistic figure in the background, just waiting for, you know, you obviously know that, like, you know, he's going to be the guy you fight at the end.
They do a very good job of Eshram in public is different than Eshram on his audio logs, which are really interesting. Of, like, he's all boastful and all full of smiles on the public thing, like purely propaganda and PR. And then his audio logs are like, I'm fucked, I'm dead, I'm on my way out. And I think they do a great job of it. I think it's really cool.
Krysta, anything else before our other banished enemy?
Escharum has the best speeches. 10 out of 10. He should be a motivational speaker.
It was definitely very motivational. Oh, what did you guys think of the fight? The fight that we do with him?
Oh yeah, we fight him at some point.
Yeah, kind of towards the end of the game.
I think it's good. I like his weapon. It's super cool.
The scrap cannon or the...
No, it's called like the Destroyer of Faith or something to that regard.
Oh, in terms of the gravity hammer. Yeah.
Well, it's like, it looks a little different from a normal gravity hammer, but it's super cool. I like it. I thought the fight was fine. It was pretty much... I mean, all the boss fights in this game are very similar. You know, it's you and a dude in a room, and you fight them.
That's just a boss fight in a video game, Krysta.
No, sometimes other things happen. Thank you very much.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I found the legendary fight to be very challenging, but it was very rewarding once I was able to kind of get everything to work. And like honestly, like I feel like with most of the legendary boss fights, like it really comes down to how quickly you can change equipment while not dying. Because like pairing the grapple shot with the drop wall and also thrusting, and like if you're able to chain all those together and still like maneuver around the room, because I mean that's at least what I tried to do when fighting Escharum. Like when I was able to finally pull it all off and do what I was trying to do to deal damage, like it felt super satisfying. But man, like there needs to be a better way. There's just not enough buttons on the controller, I guess.
It was a good fight, though. I did enjoy the fight. I did enjoy the mechanics of it. Were interesting.
Yeah, how like the life source, like when you deal damage, it actually does damage to the pilot. So like I think that kind of element was nice. It was a nice touch. David, let's talk about his number 2, Jaga.
Jaga, fuck this guy.
Sega.
Say Jaga. We're damn now.
Jaga.
Was introduced in Halo Infinite. He's a Sangheili. He's a banished. He died on the 28th of May, 2560, like a lot of these guys. He was a former Silent Shadow. There's these kind of pretty dope Sangheili assassins, sword masters. He was a pretty cool character that I wish was in the game more. He kind of crops up in a couple of cutscenes. He's really, really dope. Like the elites that are part of the Banished are always like the interesting characters, cause like they kind of have to be, cause it kind of goes against the grain kind of what we expect and know of Sangheili, to kind of work in the Banished and to be kind of mercenary like, which is, I don't know, kind of interesting. So this guy is really cool. He's really respectful of Escharum, and they seem to like have like a long history there. And I wish we kind of learned a bit more about that. Thought that would have been pretty cool. One of the early cutscenes is Escharum telling Jaga, follow the Master Chief and learn everything you can about him. I was expecting like to see this dude crop up every now and again, like being like an ongoing presence, and he just doesn't.
I thought it'd be cool to where he would either be like lingering in the background, or like even in the open world, like if he's just cloaked and you like see him, he can like I don't know, you could like shoot him, but he just like always runs away to where you would never be able to catch him. But like, I don't know, that'd be like a pretty dope like mechanic if they were able to put that in and to make like, oh yeah, Jaga's like, you know, behind that tree as you're capturing the fob.
I wish he was doing that, or like if you go back to a fob, he's just he's there, he's killed a bunch of Marines or something, and he's just like scoping out the base or something. Like I just really wish he was just present.
That could be interesting. And like if he had like a mark or something that like, so you knew that like he was the one there that like slaughtered everybody. That's something in general that I've heard. You know, we could probably save this for a different conversation or a different episode, but like the idea of a constant sort of ebb and flow to like your fobs and stuff, to where like you have to kind of hold on to them.
Well, they could be taken away from you. Like other games do that mechanic as well for bases and stuff, that you take their persistent bases get attacked and you have to go and defend them and stuff. Like that would be pretty cool. And like they kind of do it, but not very well, where like they implied it like he has a unique sword, and that all these Spartans that are being killed are killed from behind by this sword, and like you're following up like, okay, the same person killed this guy as this guy. Like they kind of do it, but not very well, I don't think. I think they could have done more, and they could have really spaced it out, and could have been like, maybe you were tracking his unique energy signature of his sword as it like cuts through and like wrecks things, and you're like, you can see the damage he caused, and maybe like you track him down. Would be pretty cool if he was like the ultimate HVT or something at the end of it, was you tracking this dude down.
Now that could have been interesting. That, yeah, like maybe it's not, if it wasn't something that was in the linear campaign, but was like a side mission that you went and like actually tracked down, almost like a Destiny mission, but like that still would have been really cool.
Yeah, that's how I feel about like all the like, you know, the Hand of Aatrox were like fucking not present, or like I don't think they were done very well. But anyway, he is a cool character, and I wish we saw more of him in the game.
Yeah, you kind of said everything that I was thinking. Like we don't get a lot of him, but he does have this mysterious coolness to him, and like his character model I think is like super dope, with the arm and the extra blade, and yeah, he's definitely like seen some shit. So I would have loved to like learn more about him and like see him actually do more. But like what we do get of him is still pretty cool, and makes for a decent villain to want to, you know, fight. Anything, Krysta, or should we move on?
He looks cool, but he doesn't do much.
All right, next we have the Harbinger. The Harbinger was introduced in Halo Infinite. The race is a new race that we've not seen before. And help me pronounce this, but I think it's Zalayan.
I like it.
Zalayan, and I believe their faction is the Endless, or maybe their race is the Endless. That's like the human word for it, whereas Xylan's the alien name. It's not really clear, but she's definitely not part of the Banished. She just has a collective goal with the Banished to rebuild the Silent Auditorium after Cortana blows it up. She was imprisoned in 97,363 BCE, approximately. And the Harbinger is voiced by Deborah Wilson and was originally going to be called the Inquisitor. A little trivia moment for you there. The Harbinger is someone that I wish we kind of got less of, so then we can see more of her in future DLC. Because we kind of got not a whole lot, and most of the campaign is like about stopping the Banished, and there's just this Harbinger character that just like shows up and, you know, 1/3 of the way through, and then you're like, okay, well, what's really going on here? And you like, I feel like I never really learned anything about her. Now, I personally haven't like really looked at the audio logs and stuff like that, so I'll get into those, see if there's more tidbits in there. But in terms of like what's communicated through the main game, all I really got was she's mad at the Forerunners for being imprisoned. The Banished and her are trying to rebuild the Silent Auditorium. We just know to stop them, because, you know, if they're up to something, then it's up to no good. So I kind of wish that like we didn't kill her and she got away, and then that could be what lingers and what we continue to do in the main campaign, and we just kind of got less of her. So then it highlighted her when she was able to be in the spotlight. But maybe more of the Endless will be available in the future, so we can learn more about them as a race. But in terms of what we got, like, I'm very much intrigued. I want to know more, but I just feel like they didn't give me enough, or they didn't give me looking to see that there will be more. It just kind of fell flat, if that makes sense.
I agree. I think she's kind of a swing and a miss. They were an interesting setup. Like when you find the Silex and it's open and she's out and she's referenced in different places, and they just keep calling her she, and her name, the Harbinger, is pretty fucking cool. And then you just kind of kill her and that's it. It's like, man, where's everything else? Do you know what I mean? I agree with Oran. I think there's too much of this game. You don't know what she's doing, why she's doing it. Just total referencing the Endless over and over and over again. I thought the premise was kind of interesting, and there should have been like a bigger setup there, I think. But like having her coming back, being super pissed at the Forerunners because putting her in prison, and then like her whole thing is to get the rest of her race out of prison. That's interesting. That's really cool. It just doesn't come across that well in this game.
And it's like you finally beat Escharum, and then everyone's like, all right, now we gotta go stop the Harbinger. And it's like, okay, so we just had like 14 or 15 missions fighting the Banished and working our way to Escharum, and then now we get one mission where we get to track down the Harbinger and stop her. And it's just like, I just feel like that doesn't do her character and her motivation and like, you know, the story that we're trying to tell there justice. Because I have a feeling, presumably, we're going to learn more about her and like the Endless, but like, it's not really conveyed that we will. And like, as it is now, it just seems that like, okay, great, we stopped it. But like, what did we really stop? Like, we don't really know.
And it's supposed to be part of Aatrox's plan, and like none of that's really clear. Like, what the hell does Aatrox want to do with these guys? And we don't really seem to know. And then, especially because like the Banished's motivations were always a big question mark, even in Halo Wars 2, and even at like, why are these guys doing what they're doing, like so aggressively and stuff? I mean, and they set them up like with such an interesting premise in this game, like losing your home world. That's why you're here. You're super pissed because Cortana blew up your world. That's awesome. But like, why do you give a shit about the Harbinger and her race? Like, what's that all about? And
yeah, what's that all about?
I would have liked to have maybe seen her like actually betray the Banished, and that be a thing, and that's why you should give a shit about her. That would, I don't know, that would have been cool.
Yeah, that could have been cool. She could have like crippled the Banished to some degree. That would have that helped Chief, you know, get to the what's the final place that you go, the House of Reckoning, instead of just like appearing out of the the ground. But yeah, that could have added like a layer to their relationship and kind of what she's about. That would have been interesting if they went, you know, in that type of route.
Especially because like they set her up. She has a couple of cool lines when you first meet her and stuff of like, we're not enemies. Do you know what I mean? And like, imagine like if she kind of tried to broker a kind of betrayal with Chief. Like, what if she kind of like worked with Chief against against the Banished, and then like does that heel flip of, okay, now I don't need you anymore, fuck you. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, what do you think, Krysta? I'm just making a new Halo game over here. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, we're over here going to do a Halo Infinite update.
Whole new Halo game. It's like a whole new game. The Harbinger and the Endless almost felt like an afterthought to the entire game. The Harbinger almost becomes slightly annoying because it's like, I want to do other things, but the Harbinger keeps, you know, showing up and I have to fight her and shit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about her, and I don't know how I feel about the Endless. I don't think we have enough information to go on, and they weren't the focal point of the game like I thought they would. So it's like, okay. That was a thing that happened. We're gonna learn more soon, maybe?
I mean, there's enough of a story there with just the Banished and their motivations and Cortana. They didn't need to shove in another race and another, like, oh, these are worse than the Flood. And it's like, okay, are they though?
But I mean, you could have. I think building them up in the background is something that could still be very effective. Like, keep the Silex there that's unlocked, and like have like another moment in the future campaign where you see like an inkling of her. Maybe you just see her down a hallway and she literally just like teleports away, and you're like, who the heck is that? And like, so you get this sense that like something is going on in the background that leaves it unanswered. But like the way the ending is in Halo Infinite is that seemingly to Chief and the team that like the threat's been neutralized. I mean, we're about to talk the end credit scene when we talk about Aatrox, but like seemingly we resolved it. And it's like, I feel like it wasn't like we weren't justified to resolve it because we didn't really know what the threat was.
We didn't know what we were resolving.
Yeah, exactly. so yeah, it kind of was like she was shoehorned in here, but then just ended. But like if she almost could just be like, we could have almost had the same exact game, but if we didn't kill her, I probably would have liked the story arc a lot more, just for the fact that like she's still out there, she's still up to something we don't know, but that's what we're going to learn next. Whereas now it's like, okay, she was up to something, we resolved it, but we don't really know what we resolved, except for her wanting to unleash the Endless again because they're
apparently bad.
Yeah, they're apparently bad and apparently worse than the Flood.
Apparently.
So, allegedly. Anyway, Krysta, take us to Atriox. I believe he is our last character, last major character we'll discuss.
Yeah, so Atriox, our favorite brute. He was introduced in Halo Wars 2. We last saw him in Halo Shadows of Reach as he walked out of a portal and was like, "Sup, guys?
I'm here now."
I'm here now. And all of us, all of our minds were blown when we read that. He's race and faction. He's a brute, and he leads the Banished. He was born May 28th, 2510. He is 50 years old at the time.
Is this his birthday? Because doesn't the game take place on May 28th?
Happy birthday! And it does, because Jaga died on the 28th.
It's his birthday, the entire
Happy
game.
birthday!
That's pretty cool.
Happy 50th!
Happy
We destroyed the
50th,
ring.
LOL.
We killed all your friends.
We killed you. We crumbled your empire.
Happy birthday! That's amazing. And the homeworld is Doisik, which is the brute homeworld. That first cutscene of the game fucking blew my mind. Because obviously we didn't think Atriox and Master Chief would... We didn't even know if he was going to be in the game, let alone in the first cutscene of the game. Oh, it was really, really good. I like how that kind of plays out. See, I like the kind of like not knowing what's going on. It's very combat evolved to me and like figuring it out as you go. But I like Atriox. I like how Chief at some point in the game was like, Atriox like just fucked me up, dude. It was awful. He beat the shit out of me. I like how it shows, because it's a great intro for Atriox, especially for those who do not play Halo Wars and do not read the books. It's a great way to introduce him, because it's like, this guy is super powerful. He beat Master Chief like it was nothing. So I think it's a great way to establish his character in the first couple seconds of the game, to show people who don't know his character what kind of guy he is, because it's just such a perfect, he's a conqueror, you know? So it's such a perfect way to introduce him to the series, or the mainline series. I like the entire thing about, like, Atriox is dead, ?
Nobody believed that.
No one believed it. I know. I did for a little bit. I was like, why? Why would they do that?
I was like, did they really kill Cortana and Atriox off screen? And I'm just watching this video of I like kind of refuse to believe it, but at the same time, they sold it so well that I was just like, fuck, I guess he's dead. Like, that's so dumb. Like, I was like actually like disappointed when all of that was going on.
I was like, they couldn't have built up this character just to kill him off, right?
Off screen, for that matter. Like,
off screen.
Like, the worst way to go.
I like how he's become almost a prophet of the Banished in some respect. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I kind of get truth vibes.
Yeah, they definitely turned that around with his death. Like, in death, he became like a religious martyr, but like in life, he was very militaristic, and it wasn't about religion. But I do like that, the fact that there's loads of like Atriox kind of sermons. There's those weird kind of like almost
the holograms.
Yeah, the holograms, the shrines that are scattered around the map to him that are playing messages of him, speeches of him talking and stuff. I like the idea that he was becoming like a religious thing. I thought that was really cool.
I do like the Uno reverse card with Cortana, where it's like, I'm going to destroy your home. And he's like, well, I'm going to destroy your everything. Again, I think it really paints him as a very powerful character to people who don't know who he is. I like Atriox a lot. I do like how he wasn't really in this game. Only for the fact that they can't just put Atriox in one game and then kill him off at the end. He needs I want him to have this really long multi-game build up to when you finally face him. I think that would be the perfect for his character. It will not do his character justice for him to just be in a game and then die in the game. So I liked this. I liked how they were able to introduce his character, introduce what he stands for, introduce him to the audience, introduce him to Master Chief, but not have him active within the story, because Atriox is one of those characters that's too powerful that if you have him active in the story, it's almost too much, you know, when you have like any kind of character that has like super awesome powers, like Superman or something like that. It's like, well, if he's there, he's going to win, right?
Yeah.
I like how they didn't have him around and they had him off on some kind of magical candy adventure. So I like how they implemented him. I think it's a great way to introduce him to the main franchise, and I think it's a great way to start building this story between him and Chief, and I'm just so excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy that he's sticking around. He's still around. And yeah, like you said, Krysta, like Halo hasn't really had a bad guy that persists beyond game to game, with the exception of like the prophets in the trilogy, but you don't really see them in the first one. So like it was kind of like a forefront that you see in Halo 2, and then you fight them in Halo 3, and that's kind of it. But like with Halo 4 and Halo 5, like everything's kind of changing in this, and then now Infinite. So to like have Atriox be like a villain in Halo Wars 2, find his way into Infinite, and kind of take a really back seat with a sort of red herring, I very much want him to kind of remain at a distance, but still be very much present going forward. So then whatever that final moment is to have that story closure, you know, should just be the most rewarding. So I'm very excited to learn what he's been up to and what's up with the room that he's in at the end of the game for the regular and, you know, technically the legendary ending as well, because he's just in a room with some other Silexes, it seems. So maybe he's gonna wake up the Endless, but like, it seemed to be something that you could only do in the Silent Auditorium, and we kind of shut that down. So again, not really clear, but we'll...
I wonder about this whole Endless thing with Atriox, because Atriox would be way too intelligent to introduce something to the galaxy akin to the Flood. Like, that's something that the Covenant and the Prophets did, but I feel like, because Atriox isn't just a warlord, he's super intelligent. So, I wonder how they are going to make his motivation if he releases the Endless, because I don't think he's the kind of character who would unleash something like that on the galaxy without a good reason or without some way to control them. He wouldn't just like let the Flood out or something like that. He's too smart for that. So I'm interested to see how that plays out, and I'm hoping it stays true to his character, because he's got brain. He got big brain. Big brain does not let Flood out. Big brain is like, okay, I'm not doing that.
I mean, we've seen him react with the Flood in the Halo Wars DLC, and like he knew exactly what they were and was like, you know, handling it really well, and like obviously knew to avoid them and to not fuck with them.
Oh, he even knew like how to kind of make the infection stop spreading, and kind of sent out the guys that can do that for him, and they contained the infection. Like, there was a proto-Gravemind, and he was able to lead the Banished to contain it, which is it's a feat, right? That is impressive. So, I mean, he's not dumb. He knows how to handle situations appropriately. He knows how to look at the warning signs.
He reads the instruction manual
and to take the appropriate measures to combat it.
He read all the Halo books. He knows what's up.
Atriox is just us, guys. He's just
one of us.
All right, so those are our main characters throughout Halo Infinite that we talked about. Do you guys have a favorite among them, whether it's, you know, how they were portrayed, their personality, their design, that you guys that we just kind of want to end on?
The weapon.
The weapon, yeah. Looking at the new characters introduced, it's the weapon.
There was the biggest chance to fail was there, and I think they succeeded really well.
You know, I think that's a good way to put it. That yeah, it was a risk for 343 to go with creating Cortana 2.0 and the fact that it went off so well that there's some credit to be turned for them. I don't know. I'm kind of team Pilot just because of, like I said, to where like I didn't like him in the beginning of the game, but like I was able to see kind of where he was, and then replaying the game, I have a different perception of him in the early parts of the game. So like I feel like having that complexity is where I think there's some recognition to be given. And like, you know, one of you said, now that like all three of them are sort of together, you know, the band is all here, and I'm ready for like the next adventure for the three of them to go on. So I'm a fan of that. Some honorable mentions that we have Catherine Halsey. You know, she appears throughout the game in the Cortana data. I kind of like those moments where we kind of get her talking with Captain Keyes about the beginning of the Spartan program. She talks with Cortana, she talks with Chief, and kind of these flashback sequences. And I think they're kind of there for players who are new just to Halo in general. But even as someone like us who know, you know, a lot, who's been playing Halo for 20 years, like it's still nice to see those moments just kind of harpering back to the beginnings of everything. So I like that Halsey kind of got picked up throughout the campaign. It was nice to kind of see her. Captain Thomas Lasky, we get him in some audio logs.
The Golden Retriever. Not a whole lot to talk about with him. I'm going to refrain a little bit because our next series of Infinite Impressions are about the audio logs, but it would have been nice to see him in the game, but I think we're all kind of excited to see where he kind of comes back into play. We have 117649 Despondent Pyre, the monitor of Installation 07. I wish that we got more with this character.
Same.
I mean, how do you guys feel? Like, I feel like it's unfortunate, but still, I think story-wise, like, it kind of made sense. So I'm not too upset with it, but kind of like after reading like Point of Light and like kind of like doing our Road to Infinite series, when we were looking at the monitors and kind of how their role has been in other Halo games and other Halo books that explore rings, I feel like learning more about that character that's been around with this ring for all these years, you know, there definitely could have been some really cool, you know, information to learn. So I'm a little disappointed there, but I kind of liked how Despondent Pyre kind of became almost like a martyr.
Yeah.
With the Harbinger. So sorry there, but we did get Adjutant Resolution, which is the sort of other monitor that's taking place of Despondent Pyre that we fight 2 or 3 times in the game in a mech suit.
Yeah.
Craziness.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of these fights. Did you write this? Best portal boss fight since Portal 2?
It's true. He's like a Wheatley.
So anyway, but those are the characters of Halo Infinite, guys.
They're okay. There's some good ones. I wish there was more. Like I said, I wish the Hand of Aatrox was more characters, that we got more time with these guys. I really wish there was more to them. Yeah,
and kind of a little bit more of like seeking them out and like hunting them down. I mean, we'll talk about the high value targets another day, but I definitely get that sentiment now that you mention it, David. That like that would be something that would have been more appreciative and more interesting to do. Right. So on the next Infinite Impressions, we will discuss the UNSC Intel, which are, you know, part of the Intel or the Halo Infinite audio logs. We're breaking down the Intel into 3 parts, I believe. We're going to have UNSC as one, we're going to have Banished as another, and then I think we have Forerunner and then just like other, because there's a lot and we want to devote enough time to everybody. So we'll be going through all the intel for the different factions, discussing what they are, the little story beats, how they connect to the overall story, our opinions of them. I mean, I think it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because I like the intel so that I can get more story, but some of the story that you get I wish was just in the regular game. So we'll be talking about that definitely next time. But thank you all for joining us. You can find every episode to all of our shows and series on our website, halopodcast.com. And you can search for your unique podcast feed for the different shows. If you want to listen to everything all in one feed, you can follow Halo Podcast Evolve on your favorite podcast service and leave us a review. Another special shout out to our patrons for supporting this show and making all of our shows possible. Again, if you're not a patron, you can head over to patreon.com/Halo Podcast Evolve to learn more about what we offer our patrons. And finally, if you want to leave us a voicemail about this episode or about a previous episode or anything Halo related for that matter, you can give us a call at 205-EVOLVED, and that's 205-386-5833. I have been your host, Oran, and until next time, evolved.
Evolve!
Evolve!